Hello, Intro to Algebra students. Today you should be on page 271. We're going to take a look at Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Part 3, and that's Example 5 and 6 and some got it's. And we can see in Example 5, we got a little story about Chloe here. So Chloe competes in a jump rope competition, and her average rate is 225 jumps per minute. So some information there from a story. Number 5, they're showing you an example of a question where you're asked to write an equation. And again, anytime you see that phrase, write an equation, I hope that you're now thinking about y equals mx plus b or something that looks similar to that. Anyway, we're asked to write an equation to find the number of jumps in any number of minutes. And it's telling you, let J represent the number of jumps and M represent the number of minutes. And they give you the equation. So we're going to answer a couple of questions about that. So one of the things that's a little bit different about this is we're using our different letters instead of Y and M and X. And it really doesn't matter what variables you use. The letter we choose for a variable doesn't matter. And in this case, then it just makes sense to use J for jumps and M for minutes. We just have to keep in mind that our M is not our slope in this equation. Now, example 6 is taking that equation from the previous problem, J is equal to 225M, and you're asked to make a table to find the number of jumps in 1, 2, 3, or 5 minutes, and then graph the ordered pairs. Now, it's kind of obvious here because the table is here and the graph is here, but again, these are completed examples that you can then look back on in order to complete future problems. So the idea would be that you're taking that information and you have your M minutes input, and you have your J jumps output, and that portion in the middle is you applying the equation to the M values. So you can see that each time they're plugging in the input or the X into that equation in order to get the output. And then that output gives you those ordered pairs. So like the first ordered pair would be 1, 225, and then graphing that on the graph. And you would do the same thing for all the following pairs. So creating a table using the equation and then graphing the ordered pairs from that is that completed example. So just to make sure we're on track here, let's extend that table a little bit and say, okay, what if she were jumping for 6 minutes, and I'd like you to apply that to the table. You should be able to put in that 225 times 6 in the work spot, and then you're getting J as 1,350. Now that does create another ordered pair, and so you want to graph that on the graph, and that means we're going to label our 6 and that ordered pair 1,350. If we look at our graph, we can see that the scale on the y-axis is going by 200, so that top line is 1,400. And so our 1,350 would be just below that for our x-coordinate of 6. So we're going to continue looking on page 271, and we're looking at the got it. We've got financial literacy problem here. So Paul earns $25 for grooming a dog plus $18.50 per day for boarding the same dog. And in letter E, we're asked to write an equation to find the amount of money Paul earned, M, for grooming a dog once and boarding it for any number of days, D. And so we're asked to write an equation. And so hopefully you are thinking right away about this format. Okay, but we are looking at changing some of our variables around a little bit because it's saying that the money Paul earned is going to be M and the days is D. So as we're building that equation, we want it to be, okay, how much money does he earn? And we're looking at that slope, what is usually m in the equation. What is the slope here? Is our rate of change. And that's where you're looking for per. And so our slope or rate of change is the 1850 or 18.5. And that's 18.5 or 1850 every day. So that's times the number of days. Now, he doesn't just earn that. He also earns $25 for grooming the dog. So we would have to say plus 25. And then hopefully you're realizing that that value is the rate of change, which is the same thing as the slope, and that your y-intercept spot is your starting point. So it starts at the $25 for grooming the dog, and then the $18.50 per day for boarding it. So hopefully looking at that as very similar to what we've been doing with y equals mx plus b. Now, in the second part, for F, you're asked to make a table to find his earnings for 5, 6, 7, or 8 days. So we want to set up our table, and we have our input is D, and our equation is that, our work that we're going to do is that we're going to take 18.5 times that D plus 25 for each instance, and that is going to give us our output of the money he earns. Now again, previously we would have regarded this as X and this as Y. And you're asked to include in that table for the days of 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you're inputting the number of days into the formula or the equation. And so for the first piece, you're taking 18.5 times the 5 days plus 25. You do want to make sure you're always following order of operations. And if we do that arithmetic, we get $117.50. Then you're plugging that in for 6. And I'd like you to do that for 6, 7, and 8, and you'll input some of your answers onto Edpuzzle. So hopefully you got the values that are on the chart here. If not, you want to pause the video and make corrections if you need to. Then we're going to take each X or input value, D value, and pair it with the output value, which was Y, or which is now M. And so we're looking at those as ordered pairs, like 5 and comma 117.50. So we're coming over here to our graph. And of course, we want to start by labeling, and our y-axis is the. So we are looking at M being the total earnings, or on the y-axis, and that is your money. And then looking at the x-axis being days, or D. And we want to plot our ordered pairs. So that first ordered pair is 5 and 117.50. So I'm going to go across to 5 and up to where 117.50 would be about, and put a dot. Then for our next ordered pair, it's going to be 6 and 136. So I'm going across to 6 and up to where 136 would be, and again putting that dot. Then I'm looking at going across to 7 and up to 154.50 and putting a dot, and you should see them lining up, linear equation. And then 8 is across to 8 and up to 173. And putting a dot where that 173 should be. Again, you should see them form a line as this is a linear equation. Remember that you can review your notes by re-watching, and if you have any questions, you want to make sure you bring them to me in direct.